And it's great to hear the same back, from customers. That's like those are the moments you kind of live for in a startup world.
We're super excited here at Operator Collective to reinvest in Amberflo and sort of help you build the next stage of your company. And so what we'd love to do today is just sort of dive in to learn a little bit more about Amberflo for our members and everyone else out there who's interested in the new tech that's coming out on the scene. And so my first question for you, just to set the scene, what is Amberflo and who is it for?
Yeah, sure thing. So Amberflow, we enable customers to bill and track on usage. Our founding team, myself and a few others, we came from AWS. AWS is kind of the pioneer in starting this trend of consumption-based, usage-based pricing and billing. And increasingly more and more companies are shifting to that. I think it's been proven that that is a better, fair, and transparent business model. And actually, it's a win-win model, drives greater customer retention, satisfaction. So we provide a platform, we call it the cloud metering and usage-based pricing and billing platform for our customers to basically sell their products and services on a usage-based business model.
When did you launch this and where did you get the idea for Amberflo?
Yeah, so idea actually has been with me in particular for a long time. I'm one of those lucky ones. I got to see this early on in the cloud computing wave or the shift to cloud computing. I first saw it when I joined Amazon back in 2011, and I had a chance with a team out there to build a couple of AWS Tier 1 services. So I went through the entire life cycle of, how do you start with a usage-based business model? What artifacts are needed in your product infrastructure and technology stack to enable that kind of a business model. Ultimately, you're going to charge on usage. How do you reconcile that? How do you make that information available to different constituents inside the business? So that was sort of the early spark. I felt that even back then, that this model will eventually dominate. Like I said, it's just a more profound win-win business model. At the end of the day, it serves the customer well. So I had always believed that the world is going to go in this direction. It was simply a matter of time. We started Amberflo 2 years back, actually right smack in the middle of COVID, 2020.
Awesome. I know you have a lot of progress to date too as well. So we're definitely going to dive into some of that. I know you touched on this a little. You mentioned AWS. Tell me a little bit more about what you were doing before Amberflo and how that influenced getting started here.
Yeah, I think, this is I think all founders sort of have a story. I think, because it's one of those things where you really have to have conviction. And I think, particularly for myself, my co-founder and a couple others who came together early on. And I'd say that, just a little politely, we're a little bit farther along in our careers. So for us to kind of do this at this point, we just felt that this is once in a lifetime opportunity. Okay. And let me unpack that a little bit because, it's almost a cliche, it gets thrown around a lot. But in this case, my thesis was that, business model shifts don't happen very often, hardly if ever. In fact, I think if we just play back the whole software industry, I think we've maybe seen one change, right? We started with a traditional term and perpetual licenses, and then maybe about 20 years ago came along this thing that we call subscription. But other than that, how business is transacted hasn't really changed in the software world, at least. But now it is. And usage-based pricing and billing, this is a 180-degree shift. This is not a step function change. And just having sort of that visibility from my time at AWS prior to starting Amberflo gave me that conviction that if things go in this direction, companies are going to have to retool. They will have to up-level and retool their existing infrastructure because it just has that kind of a ripple effect if you shift to this model. I distinctly remember this about 2.5 years ago when we were pitching this. Not everybody was still on board with this. And here we are in the beginning, 2023. I think now it's no longer even a question. I still remember 2 years back, some of our conversation were still sort of evangelical. You're trying to convince somebody why usage-based pricing and billing would be better for them. Now it's the inbound inquiries they've already made this conclusion. But my background at AWS certainly helped. Was there right at that sort of critical point. AWS itself was growing, so I was fortunate to have a front row seat into seen that growth on the backs of this usage-based business model. And then I spent some time at Oracle when they decided to build their in-house next generation cloud infrastructure. And within that, I ended up owning the metering and billing side of the infrastructure. So the background certainly helped in kind of putting the pieces together.
Certainly, it seems like you were perhaps primed for this your entire work experience. You had the experience, you've been doing it for other companies, now you're doing it in a new way for yourself. Tell me a little bit about your employees and your leadership team as well. What makes you and your team primed to solve this problem?
I was super proud of her team, and I think, quite frankly, a little bit of luck, just how the team came together. For us to drop what we were doing, where we were in our careers to do this, it wasn't just going to be, okay, well, here's this one thing, and there's sort of this needed opportunity to capitalize, and let's go, try to catch a wave. We had a long-term lens at this from the very beginning. We would talk in terms of 5 years out, 10 years out. So that was kind of the starting point. It was important to have a team that had that lens and that cohesion to kind of look at the opportunity from that perspective. And within that, what's important is, folks being grounded by certain values and cultural values. We were just super lucky. We were able to get some of the folks we worked with in the past. So there was that common framework of how we have built systems together. So that was a great foundation to build on. This was super helpful, with the seed investors that we got with Mullen, Operator Collective, and Satya Thongru. We were for 1 year just heads down building the core components of our infrastructure because we were building it from the ground up. And that's what we wanted to do, because if you think that far out and if you think that this is a macro level change, every company is going to shift to this direction. You only have one shot at building that infrastructure. We call them primitives, building blocks at scale. You cannot go back and revisit those design decisions. We got the right team. We came together at the right time, and it's been phenomenal.
I absolutely love how you touched on those building blocks and that foundation. You're absolutely right. You get one opportunity to build it right, and once you start building on top of it, you don't get to go back and change that. It's nearly impossible. Whether it's physically building, software building, it's the foundation needs to be set from the beginning. So that's a great place to be, to say that your foundation's pretty solid and you're moving forward with that. How are you currently measuring success, and what are some of the metrics that you're looking at?
We're pretty disciplined on that. Again, just kind of coming from some of the places we worked at, um, almost, to a fault. At the end of the day, we are a usage tracking and pricing and billing system, usage instrumentation metering. So from day one, we are Amberflo and Amberflo. So we use our own product. So we provide a two-part platform. We have a metering, we call it Metering Cloud, that enables companies to track their product's usage. So since we are Amberflo and Amberflo, it enables Amberflo to track our customers' usage. So we have pretty much real-time insights, knowing our customers in real time. So we actually know exactly who's on our platform, who came on the platform when, how much they're using, what aspects of our product they're using, how it has been trending. As the customer transitions from metering into pricing and billing and putting their pricing plans on top, we give our customers the ability to track and build their invoicing and billing dashboards. And we use our system to track our invoicing and billing dashboards. So we have real-time visibility into how much our customers are paying and what is being forecasted. So we have pretty detailed visibility into that on a daily basis in real time. Some of the other metrics that we track, for example, we are a leading, metering cloud usage instrumentation system. So we track number of events that come in on a daily basis. How many metering events are we tracking across the customer base? And now we are into billions, tens of billions of events a month. But that's a good leading indicator for us on where the customer journey is headed. So, and these metrics are still evolving, as you might imagine. As more and more customers come in, we're also discovering there are other aspects of their customer journey that we can track. We are big on customer support. So we track sort of a mean time of response, when an inquiry comes in, how quickly were we able to respond to them.
Awesome. It sounds like you have some solid metrics, a lot of things that you're looking at. I like that you're looking at the holistic customer journey as well. You're going to uncover so many insights from that, just seeing how they're moving through your product, how they're using their product, and how what's being tracked across the board. In
That's
terms
right.
of like your traction, what's been most exciting to date for you?
But what has been super exciting is the validation of our architecture and approach. Okay. And this was uh, to be determined. I mean, we have, as I said, strong conviction that this is the right model because we had seen it at scale, but it's new for the world. We have a decoupled metering cloud from billing cloud. Right? And we have a long thesis on why this has to be the case. But it was just our thesis at the time as a startup, when we built, and then we put it out this way. And I can tell you now, customer after customer is validating that, and they are selecting us because of that design choice, because of that architecture. So it was a little bit of a risk early on. We just had our conviction, but we knew that this was the only way, at least we knew of how to scale and help companies scale on a backs of a usage-based pricing billing model, with having a metering cloud that is decoupled yet integrated with pricing and billing applications. So we provide both. And now consistently customers validate that. It's great to hear the same back, from customers. That's like those are the moments you kind of live for in a startup world, really, when you hear those kinds of validations. If you had asked me maybe even a year ago, I would have said maybe over the next 2, 3 years, the shift to usage-based pricing and PLG motion will really kind of catch fire. But I think it's happened sooner than we anticipated. So that's been a great surprise in a good way.
That's super exciting, and I imagine keeps you very busy. I'm curious if you could talk about some of those customers and their size and what industries they're in and who you're seeing come to you.
One is Launch Darkly, which is one of the leading companies, very very interesting use case. Their pricing model was a traditional subscription seat-based license. And they themselves came to the conclusion that we're going to shift to usage-based pricing and billing. It's better in the long term, as we already discussed. There's a win-win on both sides. So when they had made this decision, then they went looking for a platform provider, a solutions provider that could help them on this transition. And they surveyed the landscape. They did an exhaustive review of the competitive landscape. They looked at everything that was out there, and they picked us. They indexed on the architecture and design approach of Amberflo, of having metering cloud decoupled yet integrated with pricing and billing. So, they have, as you might imagine, a huge set of existing customers. They have an existing business. They have to transition their portfolio to usage-based pricing and billing. It has to be a systematic way. It has to be a step-by-step function. They're not just going to come in one night and turn off the switch and then next day, suddenly they shift. We've been working with them now for a few months, systematically taking different aspects of their product portfolio and shifting it to usage-based pricing and billing. And they are at huge volume. They're sending us already tens of billions of meter events a day that we are processing for them. And super great partnership. They're super happy. They are realizing tremendous ROI. They've been able to turn off some existing systems that they had to build thus far to support this. They've been able to turn those off. They're able to now delight their customers with real-time usage reports, accurate, metering, billing, which is the goal for this. So that's the engagement with Launch Darkly, for example.
Well, thank you so much. I look forward to reading some of those use cases and sharing those with our audiences as well. In terms of the other offerings that are out there in this space, what sets you apart?
To be honest with you, we're all sort of early in this world of usage-based pricing and billing, and we're also actually ourselves. We want to know from our customers why they are choosing us, and it's just prudent to kind of have that lens. We certainly have our point of view, why we are better, but I think let me parlay that more from what customers have told us why they have selected Amberflo. And by and large, it is sort of these three aspects that it has come down to. First is the architecture and design. Yeah. Hands down, when they go looking and they do an apples to apples comparison, um, consistently they tell us, we understand, we like your system, it's easy to understand. We can see that it is also designed for scale. And then we're able to give them demonstrative constructs. So to back both of those claims, right? Okay. So design, architecture, scalability of the system, that shines to the top. The other is they really also like our deployment model and our own pricing model. So we're also unique in this regard, uh, and I find this actually somewhat even ironical, where so we ourselves are usage-based priced, where our customers can come in, use us on a PLG motion self-service. We put our product out there, no feature gating. We back it up with a generous free tier, and then we have a usage-based pricing model for our products. Because I figure if we are going to enable you, my customer, for you to become usage-based, I think it'll be highly ironical if I myself am not selling my products on a usage-based model. So they like that because it gives them, again, the flexibility that they can dial it up, they can dial it down, and they pay only for what they use.
Mhm.
And third is they like the fact, and I think this is where we're just lucky, sort of the thought leadership and the team's background. Right? So having seen it at scale at AWS, at Oracle, when we were building the next generation infrastructure over there, sort of some of those, curves down the elbow, as they say, right? I mean, if you, there's no compression algorithm for experience. We've seen it at scale. Some of those designs have been factored in. We know what this would look like for LaunchDarkly when they're 10x to where they are today, and we've already planned for that. So those are some of the things that they've told us when we asked them, as you did the competitive review, why did you choose us? That's usually where it falls down.
Thank you. A couple more questions. What I like this question. What keeps you up at night?
Yeah, we all have those moments, but generally speaking, I'm a sound speaker. But I know your question is not sort of in the literal sense. I find myself sort of thinking about is it's very important to me and some of the earlier folks who as I mentioned who came together, the company culture and how we scale, because I think as we are now gearing up sort of for the next level of scale, um, if you are not conscious about it, uh, that's one of the quick things to go easily, and and then it's very hard to recover from. Culture is one of those things where if you don't set it, it will kind of happen to you, and if it happens to you, then it's already too late. Um, so I think about that a lot because we have a vision to do a lot. As I mentioned, we're looking 5, 10 years out from a roadmap perspective. There's a lot that we want to do, and you know technologies will change, underlying building blocks will change. But I think what will really pull you through is if you have a set of values and leadership principles that you can institutionalize early on and get them into some kind of a virtuous cycle where as your team grows and as your business grows, that stays intact. That's sort of on top of my mind, actually. We talk about that internally. There isn't really a definitive playbook on how to implement that.
Mhm.
It's basically something you have to put together from your past experience and what you want to do. So it's a little bit fluid.
Thank you. It's great to hear that you're sleeping at night. Obviously, we know founders have so much on their plate all the time, and so to get that rest is crucial to your success as well. So happy to hear that. My last question that I have for you is, what's next for Amberflo?
Well, this year is a big year for us, 2023 coming in. We are gearing up for massive growth. We just got cleared by the board. We're going to be, I think, quadrupling our headcount this year. And we are working with already some pretty amazing customers. I mentioned LaunchDarkly, Firebolt, Support Logic, Coherent, whole bunch of customers. Product footprint is expanding pretty rapidly. And then we have a couple other things that we're just going to keep guarded and just delight our customers when we do something in that area. So that's the plan, at least sort of the short-term plan this year.
Exciting. I cannot wait to see what some of those guarded secrets are, as well as watch the expansion of Amberflo, not only internally, but externally as you reach more customers. And so thank you so much, Puneet, for sharing these insights with us. And again, we're so excited to be working with you as you build this next great company.
It's been great to have you guys as a partner. And now I think just working with you, Mala, and others, just looking forward to our continued partnership. It's been very exciting.
Thank you.